Hi, I'm Jason Schwartz, host of the Neutral Zone. KAKU is a listener-supported station. This means that all of the great programs you hear, like mine, are sponsored by you as well as our underwriters. If you would like to help keep the voice of Maui talking loud and clear, go to kakufm.org/donate today and give. And don't miss the Neutral Zone Mondays at 11 a.m. on 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.
Maui's free speech station. KAKU 88.5 FM, Kahului, Maui, the voice of Maui.
Good morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock on Monday, and the reason I know it is because it's the Neutral Zone. Welcome to our show. I'm your host, Jason Schwartz, and I have a guest, Alana Kay, with us in just a minute.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. So many men sold away. And I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure that Pilate washed his hands and sealed his fate. Pleased to meet you. Hope you get my name. But what puzzling you is the nature of my game.
I have a wonderful guest today. It's July 22nd, 2019, and I'm here with Alana Kay, who is the publisher of a magazine called Sustainable Aloha. Now, you may have seen issue number...
There have been 2 issues.
2, or issue number 1. But we have another one coming here imminently, don't we?
Yeah, at the end of this week.
The end of this week. Does it have a subject theme?
Yes, water. Water on Maui. Is our water supply sustainable?
Uh-huh. And
Yeah.
what was number 2 about?
Number 2, let me think. First one was kind of focused on farming. The second one wasn't really focused on anything. I've been kind of developing the plan for this magazine as we go along. And I finally decided that each one is going to have an anchor story, and then the rest of the stories will be what I call satellite stories.
Okay.
Although we'll always cover certain things like farming.
Where can one find
things like
these
that.
magazines?
This magazine is intentionally digital because it's about sustainability, and I didn't want to waste a lot of paper.
Do you have any paper at all?
But what we're doing is it's published on issue.com, which is spelled ISSUU.com, and absolutely every publication is on there. You have, all of our local publications are on there as well. And it can be downloaded to your device, any device that you want to download it on. You can read it on issue.
I'm asking is, I've been accused of having a magazine for years.
Yeah?
Because I was having it online, but no one ever said, "Hey, Jason, your magazine," because
right,
they don't see it physical.
Right,
Yet,
people
when
need
think
that.
About the
so
physical, if you say Maui News,
right,
now you look and you say, where? Well, that's the Maui
yeah, that's
News?
almost invisible now.
It's almost invisible in print, but yet it has.
No, we're going to have a flyer. I actually did have small flyers that were in some condo lobbies.
Where would I see it? Were you tied to any events?
It's going to be.
How can people know?
I know.
Hey,
I really could use a marketing.
Third issue is coming out. That's why you're here on this show, I hope.
Right. A lot of
even here. A copy, when you see this on TV or on the internet, you're going to see a copy of the cover of this and maybe some of the... I think that's probably where we should stop, because people in this digital world, it used to be when we grew up and you had a school book, you said, "Oh, there's my textbook," and then textbooks grew, and now they went digital and online, and kids have one of these stuck to their hand all the time, and you just say, hey, wake up, hello, are you alive? And you say, well, no, I'm on my thing with my friends. They're in here. So I'm bringing it up only because it is a major monster in this world to have a great thing
And nobody
but
can
be
find it.
lost in this sea
Right.
of pages.
Right. So there will be a flyer that'll be distributed. Not this time because I don't have the money for it yet. But I've got all the pricing. I've got my printer lined up. There will be a 4-page flyer that has the magazine is big on photography, beautiful photography and graphics.
Oh, great.
Not only do we have a Facebook page, so that's Sustainable Aloha.
Facebook.
Yeah, I have a Facebook page.
Just so you know, I know people that don't go on Facebook, just so you know. There's
Okay.
an audience. Did you know that there are people in the world that don't use Facebook?
There are
won't
some. I
go.
have a lot of friends that don't.
And people send me things, and then it says you have to log into your Facebook account. I do that with some people, and they say, "Oh no, I never did see it. I don't do Facebook."
I know.
I
Isn't that
used
amazing?
to do Facebook, but there's now 190 million people on Facebook, and so I don't use Facebook. So I'm only bringing it up
So
because
I'm trying to build
I am-
up the Facebook
So you have
following.
a magazine, and you're on issue number 3. If I said, how many viewers do you have? You'd say, well,
I get the stats on issue.com.
oh, so my point to you people out in the audience, there's lots of stuff in the world, and we're up to issue number 3 with a lady who, I'm going to give your background, because more important than a paper in the middle of billions of papers, you ran for mayor once, twice?
Once, 2014, but I ran for council in 2012.
Right, and in other
South
words,
Maui County
you are
Council.
someone who has ideas that you want to share with people.
Absolutely.
And your vehicle is now this Sustainable Aloha magazine. But your ideas, to me, always were really important and really
Thank
the
you for
most
saying
important
that.
part. No, seriously, you know, people ask me, how do you choose people for your show? Well, I try to keep it fresh, and I also listen to what others say, but I don't like to sort of book things so far in advance that I'm not current. And I can't help but see our world, I say Shan Satsui, but Maui, what's the name of our new company here? Mahi Pono.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all these names are great. A large purchase of ag land with title to water. I imagine some of that's going to be in your
Yeah, there's
issue,
going to be some of that's going to tie in there.
right? And farming and sustainability. That seems to be your word and has been, right?
Right,
A
yep.
long time.
And about, thank you. Right. See, we need. So, yeah, I felt like we needed a communication hub. And if you go to the website, which is sustainablealoha.solutions, it's not .com. It's sustainablealoha.solutions.
You guys will see that. It's going to be sustainablealoha.solutions.
That's the website. Not only is there a link to the magazine on there, the online magazine, but it also has the mission statement. And I think a lot of people can get on board with that, and it has to do with that we need a place where we can centralize more or less our negotiations and best practices, because right now everything is so silo managed in the government.
Who is
and also
our?
Maui, the people of Maui.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
instead of the government, including the government in this
I would say,
independent environmental...
because we need to make some changes in the government, but I believe we're going to have to get together first, and we can talk about the changes I think we need, and the magazine talks about them. As I've been studying these issues through the years, these stories I write entail many months and years of me researching, talking to people, reading articles. You know, Environment Hawaii is a really nice publication, and looking at websites for the different watershed partnerships and all these kind of things, you know, Earth Justice. And what I do is I try to draw out all the things that I think are important that work together, and then I try to educate people as to where we're at. And then we look at how government works and how the departments are set up and defined and staffed, and then we say, well, how do we take what we know as environmentalists and get our government to properly carry out these initiatives? And so far what we've been doing is we've been litigating, and that's a very slow process, and it's combative. We could be using mediation more.
Again,
we could be
I'm
using.
only slowing you down for a second
Mm-hmm.
because who's we?
We, the people.
So when you say we,
I mean, all of us. I mean, all of us.
So you've been writing articles about subject water, this issue. So this is basically different facets of your position on water.
Right. It's definitely going to be my viewpoint, but it's derived on facts that I'm pulling from places.
And this body of facts that now is out there in as a magazine, it has pictures and sponsors. It's putting out this idea. Does it have an intention?
Yes.
Meaning, now that once
That would
it's
tie
out
into my
there-
mission statement.
So
of,
once it's out there, do you have a body of, say, environmentalists or planned environment who will be speaking through this? You spoke about a voice of what we could do.
Right.
And I always wonder, I created this neutral zone because I want people who are blue, green,
That's what I'm
yellow,
saying.
pink
I would say
to
I
be
call it
talking and doing something, but like we say, who is the doing piece? It's either the
I don't believe in these teams. That's what I mean by silo management. Our government is set up that way where they're all, well, that's not our job. That's not our job. And then with the teams, you have like Maui Tomorrow, and you have Nawaiha, and you have all these different groups, and they're like think tanks where they say, well, this is what we believe, this is how we feel. And just if I could just, I mean, people may not agree with this, but my observation has been, it's as though certain groups want to just be the saviors, whereas I feel that all the work we need to do to bring our island back into sustainable integrity, we need a lot of people, we need a lot of groups, we need a lot of expertise. We almost need everybody to be on this together in order to do it.
How do you?
Which is how they used to do it.
Well, how do you even propose that?
Well, first, I'm looking for people because they all have their groups, let's say. You know, Maui Tomorrow has their people, Sierra Club has their people. They all have their people. But that is not everybody. And then you have, what's the other one? The Pono, the ones that were the Ohana Coalition.
The Pono,
okay,
the Maui
but if you
Pono
look at how many people come out to vote, that's still a very small percentage of the people on the island. What I'm trying to do is educate and what you call mobilize the silent majority, because I'd like to see
in front of them.
I'm trying to do that with. That's what I'm hoping this magazine.
My magazine thing.
Yeah.
To say people have accused me for years.
So I'm doing
what you talked about.
Yeah.
In 1994.
It's not easy. It's a new.
And then the internet started,
Yeah.
and I thought, oh, an online thing, and we have the right words in our name. Maui, art, music, environment.
Yeah, I know what
people
year I've
will
looked at
catch
your.
them.
Yeah.
So I've watched, just as like you say, people form a group or have a group, and they pick their pet issues,
Right.
and they work on them with their team. But you're saying, as I'm trying to understand it, that it needs to somehow get more ears and eyes on all these issues and tie them all together in something called our whole environment
Plan. But
Right?
the problem is our government is not. Talking about Maui County government.
Sure.
Our state has done a lot of really good things. The articles educate people on this. We can hardly kind of cram it into an hour, but I'll just try to get the general concept for people to understand. Is the Maui County government is not equipped, educated, staffed, designed to solve these environmental problems that we have. And what we need to do, and attempts have been made, and people aren't aware of this, is Alan Arakawa, who you should know I don't really care for. Sorry, Alan. But he's done a couple of things that were really powerful, and it was ignored. And one of them was that for the last several years in the budget, he put in $7 million for a sustainability initiative. I don't remember what the exact wording was, but it was undefined as to what it was for. The council regularly reduced the amount because they didn't know what to do with it, And when I've had interviews with the water department, with council members, with all of this, they don't understand sustainability. They're not educated in it. It's like a doctor isn't educated in nutritional health. He's only educated in other things. It's the same thing with our government. So I asked the head of the sustainability department at the college to talk to one of the commissions that Don Guzman was heading. And it took me about 2 years to get them together, but they finally got together to coordinate between the county government and the college where the education existed at this time, and defined sustainability for the county of Maui. It is not defined for the county of Maui on the charter or anywhere else. Get it defined and then start to work around that and create a department. Now, as of 2018, they created a department under the Department of Environmental Management. That's a sustainability department, but I've talked to them and they still don't know what they're doing. And I don't mean that in a negative way. They say we still are not defined. What we're lacking in government is the definition and the staffing for these sustainability initiatives. We don't have it.
I am not exactly sure. I'm trying to come to understand what your goal is here. In other words,
to educate people on.
No, but I mean,
yeah.
You said we got this hour, and we don't have enough room in this hour to explain it. So, okay, but in this hour, what we do have is time to figure out what it is.
So we can zone in. Yeah.
You have a magazine.
So the magazine has all the information.
Show a magazine, but the magazine is online. And
right.
So I just said, I've had a magazine online for 25 years with the same subjects, talking about sustainability and all these things. And I was talking to Susie out here. Susie was our guest here. You may remember Susie Guest Train. About the fact that all the pieces aren't seen, and just
they're
like
not seen. Yeah.
So, what are you hoping to accomplish?
Okay, is to educate people on all of this.
To let them know about this magazine that's online.
Well, accomplished today, right now, or do you mean with the magazine?
I brought you on as a guest to my show because I thought you had a magazine coming out about water, and I thought that was important, and I thought it's the third issue. So, besides, I haven't seen it around anywhere except where someone gave me a copy, and that was you. So I'm always I'm trying to figure out myself, how do I get to an audience? There's only 100 watts here. That means if you're over the horizon, you can't pick up this station unless you're clever enough to get it on Facebook Live, MauiNeutralZone.com afterwards, YouTube afterwards, KAKU page afterwards, and then maybe even we put them on TV here. Maybe you're lucky to catch it. But what I say is, all that I've been putting out 25 years, I used to be like Nickel and Ananda and run for office, and then I said, wait a minute, I just want to talk with people because I can
that's
do
what
it
you
all
do.
alone.
You just do that. That's what you do.
But here we are 25 years
Yeah.
later. If you were to, I would think many of you know, that Jason Schwartz has had his face on this akaku for 25 years, trying to get people to understand that this all needs to be put together, just like you've described, but you're describing it like it's a fresh idea. The thing that needs to be, as I see it, is how do we get this message out? I used to think it was the Maui News.
You mean the message
until
about
the Maui News is this thin now, so somehow they're trying to figure out how to get seen also.
Well, to be honest, I just go the spirit of Maui. I mean, I get all my guidance as to what my kuleana is by asking Maui what it wants me to do.
You mean Maui, the spirit?
The spirit of Maui. There's. I mean, and a lot of people are going to have a problem with that. But
nobody
there's
know.
I think. Yeah, right. I know you're. I mean, some people are going to misunderstand that. But what I'm saying is, I wake up every morning. I ask what my kuleana is. What am I here for? What would you like me to do? And I'm guided. And through the years, I've been guided to all this knowledge and insight. So when a person writes, whether I wrote 5 books that are on Amazon, I'm a writer. So I had all this information about the way our government operates, about the politics of it, about the laws, about the environment, and I needed a vehicle to write about it so that I could take what I've learned and educate people with it. That's why I write my books. People buy my books, believe it or not. I get royalties
Okay.
every month. I mean,
So
I have confidence that once people find out about the magazine, the only thing I have lacked, I definitely know how to market, but what I have lacked is money. I don't have money to do the marketing I need to do. I know that as soon as I can print beautiful flyers to put in condo lobbies. The one thing we're missing is I'm also doing this to educate tourists. And when Lucienne had me on her show Crossroads, she says, wow, that never crossed my mind to educate the tourists.
What does that mean?
Educate the tourists?
Yeah, I mean, how could Lucienne say that?
I don't know. I have to find her exact...
That's why I go back to my thing. I'm telling you again. And I started a nonprofit 25 years ago to promote visual art, healing art, music, culture, educate people on environmental solutions, and encourage
And that's all you can do is offer it.
Ecotourism 29 years ago.
Yeah.
And the message is still considered a fresh idea.
Right, because...
So that means, to me, how do we, what you said, it's the money. So what does the money want? Because if the moneyed interests wanted to share what you'd have the money.
No, right? I only need $1,200 to print 7,500 flyers. Beautiful 4-page flyers. That's all I need. It's not much money. I'm not talking about big money, corporate money. I'm talking about I will print the flyers, and Maui Circulation can get them out.
So you're saying, in other words, to be given out at the hotels or through the concierge desks to people.
Right.
That are tourists.
Yeah.
And what's their
And at coffee
interaction?
shops.
What are those tourists going to then do?
So far, every tourist I've run into or talked to loves the idea.
And what are they going to do? What's their part?
To get educated, so that people can get on board.
Are they going to send $1?
Oh, I'm not looking for money from the tourists.
Well, I'm trying to tie it all together.
Advertisers and sponsors.
To say, well, I'm just going back to that. An advertiser or a sponsor, either they believe in a cause and they have unlimited money, or they have a reason they're sponsoring something, right? So far on this kind of thing, I've had sponsors who wanted to help the cause of me doing it. But that next step, the next step to get it out to enough tourists to be able to make a difference in the way that Maui is treated environmentally, and who impacts that decision? The economic engine. What's the biggest economic engine here?
Right now, tourism.
And so that's why I said, so what's that tourist's part? If you're reaching out to them, so what I'm trying to basically do is I'm trying to say that we need to take your idea, get this message out, but have a request of those people. For example, I had people that came here for a television show that was staying at the Westin, Mahana, and when they went out to restaurants, they were treated with less aloha. And I thought, now, where do I put that message out? Who do I tell about that? That there needs to be somehow a rekindling of an aloha spirit and delivered. And those tourists, maybe their job is, who do they send that message to so that the next time they have a restaurant experience, people there are realizing preciously that they're holding the future of Maui's revisitors in their hands. Yeah. The same with someone that sees your message for environmental things, that now that they've seen it and they're educated, you just said earlier, education, if they don't vote, it's like, what? Where's the tie-in? I'm always looking to say, great thinkers who are progressive and responsible with our environment get older. Yeah. And not necessarily accomplish their goals if they don't tap into what the money wants.
I have it in my mind entirely.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the first thing I need to do, because I can't show circulation until I have that money to create the circulation, I have to initiate the effort to do the printed flyers, get them out there, because it leads you to a digital magazine. The digital website that has all these, it keeps the statistics. It says how many pages they read, how long they were on there, how many people, and it also shows how many impressions. Impressions are where somebody's reading somebody else's magazine, they say, here, you might
Yeah.
want to look at this.
Well,
okay,
I think-
so an advertiser or sponsor is going to want to see those stats.
Well, what you're talking
And once
about
I
is
have those
every
stats-
Facebook advertiser, Google advertiser,
Then I can do
Instagram,
Facebook advertising, too.
all of them do exactly what you just said. Issue does.
But I need stats first. I don't
All
have.
I'm trying to tell
yeah.
you is, the old thing of how do you get this seen by more people?
Right. And
Sometimes it's something spectacular.
I don't have a
Like
big
right now.
launch idea. Does anybody have a marketing idea? Contact me on my website or contact me on my Facebook page. That's my plan for marketing this, is to get the flyers out, 7,500 at least, if not 15,000, and then get people looking at it, because for the effort I put out, I have a lot of views, and I have 5,000 impressions on issue, which is impressive.
So then you probably can find
Just
a
from the
sponsor.
minor efforts I've done.
So I'm saying, we're going to take a break for our sponsors. See, someone has to come forward and say they think it's good. So I think you can find sponsors for what you need. We're going to be right back with Alana Kay. Excuse my cough. Neutral Zone with me, Jason Schwartz, would like to sincerely thank David Bryan for his support. David was founder and head of school at New Road School in Santa Monica, California, and is the board chair at the Ojai Foundation and on the board for Brave New Films. The Neutral Zone is heard live Mondays at 11 a.m. here on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, and again on Saturdays at 7 a.m., as well as on TV and on MauiNeutralZone.com.
Get a jump on protecting Maui's coral reefs. No need to wait for Hawaii's new sunscreen law to go in effect. This is Archie Kalepa asking you to make the switch today to sunscreens that do not contain reef-harming oxybenzone or octanoxate. Find out about better choices at mauireefs.org/sunscreen. Sponsored with Aloha by Maui Nui Marine Resource Council, Maui Visitors Bureau, and the County of Maui Office of Economic Development.
What up, Maui? I'm Suzanne Kayan, your host of the Maui Zan Show here on KAKU 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui. Please join me and my incredible guests every Wednesday at 2 p.m. for fun and informative conversation. Sexuality, family, pop culture, music, social causes. We talk about it all with a fresh and forward-thinking twist. The Maui Zan Show, 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui, trying to evolve. Hi, I'm Suzanne Kayan, host of the Maui Zan Show. KAKU is a listener-supported station. This means that all of the great programs you hear, like mine, are sponsored by you as well as our underwriters. If you would like to help keep the voice of Maui talking loud and clear, go to kakufm.org/donate. Go today and please give. And don't miss the Maui Zan Show Wednesdays live at 2 p.m. on 88.5 FM, the voice of Maui.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, we are coming back. I don't know if we call it early. I'm going to think about playing some more later if I haven't played enough spots. Like I said earlier, I need someone with eyes because I can hardly see the board, and I can wear my glasses. I don't see Elton John wearing more than blue these days. We have to get more colors going on. In this age of prescription glasses for $8 online, the world has gone online, and somehow you can get lost, and even online you can get lost. And that's what I was talking to our guest about. Alana Kay is the publisher of a Sustainable Aloha magazine, which you can find at sustainablealoha.solutions.
You
with
can
an
find the
S.
link there, yeah.
And you'll find the link there to the magazine.
Also on
or if
Facebook.
you're lucky enough to find one physically, that would be also another good way. See, when I get a magazine like whoever it is on the newsstand, I pick it up, and I don't even often go to their website, because online everyone is equal. And it's fake news. There's no difference between real news and fake news unless you know its source and you check it all. So it's now gotten, I don't like to say President Trump is right, but let's say President Trump is right. It's hard to tell what's real and
Yeah,
what's
it's
fake
really pretty
these
bad.
days,
Yeah.
except if you know the information behind it. And this young lady, Alana Kay, who's the publisher of Sustainable Aloha Magazine, does that research. So that's one thing that's very important about the stuff that can be seen with your writing. Any important subjects you want to highlight when they're going to look at the issue?
Water.
Well, I figured that water's the big...
I've had a lot of people ask me, when I run for office, I get my cue kind of like what the people need education on when I ran for office. And you know, when you're out there talking to people, they're going to bring up the subjects. And I got to tell you, the number one subject is I don't vote because I don't know how to vote. Just so you know, that's why I thought education is important. Maybe if they know,
vote.
they don't know who to pick or why or what, they don't know the issues. And I've tried to tell people, I'm going to ask you right now in the audience, did you know that the EO aquifer, the transition zone, there's salt water underneath and there's brackish buffers and salt water, and then there's a freshwater lens. There's a buffer zone between the freshwater and the saltwater. Did you know it's been consistently thinning over the
Not
last
only do I
decades?
know that, I want to say a decade ago.
Well, you
but
know
it
that.
was more than that, that it was brought up as an
2003.
issue. And Alan Arakawa, who you remember, they were hesitating about buying and controlling the watershed, all because
Wailuku
of the
Water Company.
saline coming up,
Right.
and the fresh water that's critical. And if it mixes and we don't
We're
get,
screwed for
we're
like
screwed
close
for
to
life.
100,000 years.
So-
yeah, it's not going to come back.
That issue is one that is really important.
So the story is leading to getting people to understand that and understand why it's not being addressed. This is what the story is going to talk about. I will explain to you through all my investigations. I've been investigating this for at least 4 years. Why it's not being addressed and what we need to do to address it.
And who's addressing it?
Nobody's
Well,
addressing it.
Who
Right.
do you
And I'll tell you
propose
why.
to address it?
We need to do something called integrated water resource management. And it's
Nice
getting big
words.
in integrated water resource management.
Which means
That we look at the
overlay of
whole
all the
picture.
water.
Right. We look at the whole picture. And if you talk to the water department, I've interviewed Dave Taylor, our old Department of Water supply head, and then the current one, Jeffrey, his last name eludes me right now. The water department is not defined, equipped, educated, staffed to address the issues, but at the same time, they're in charge of the water supply as they give it to the public. But they're not scientists, they're not water engineers, they're civil engineers, and to them, solving a problem where a well is getting brackish is to find a new place to drill. That's their solution.
I'm hearing you tell me you're looking at this for 4 years. Like I said, it was a decade ago, this issue, and I'm sure I'm
It's
not
come
the
up
first to
several
hear
times,
things.
not just one time. It's come up several
over
times.
the last many numbers of
Yeah.
years that our fresh water supply is limited.
But a lot of people
And
don't.
some people know that there is a large, in fact, so large it's larger than Oahu, freshwater lens under Maui,
And that would
they're
be-
not wanting to pierce and use because it will
Disrupt.
encourage people to do development
Right.
with no stopping it.
Right.
So it's been staying hidden. Meanwhile, I know about it I almost bought a property. No kidding. When I say this issue you're talking about is years.
Yeah.
I heard about it when I was buying a property above this huge, vast sea of fresh water in a pocket under Maui. And it was brought up at that time about the the incredible closeness between the saline and the fresh in the EAL, and that all the water going, for example, to Kihei and Wailea,
Yeah, it
was
shouldn't be.
all coming from EAL.
EO. And also,
How crazy!
also to the North Shore where the one well is contaminated. So we're also feeding, EO is feeding also.
So why don't we deal with this?
Okay, because we don't have the means. This is what I'm trying to say. We don't have the means, the staffing, and the education to do it.
So we don't have time, for example, to take a long time, right? So is that, would you say that it's an emergency yet?
I think it is. I got to tell you that the Commission on Water Resource Management, also I've been in close communication with Charlie Ice at I call him Seaworm. The Water Commission, we can call him the Water Commission. He has fed me documents, information, answered questions. I've interviewed all these people.
Seaworm?
Commission on Water Resource Management. CWRM. A lot of people say Seaworm. But you can call it the Water Commission. But that's the State Water Commission. See, what complicates it is there's all these departments, all these different laws, there's all these different roles. But I got to tell you, you know Robin Knox? Her and I see this exactly the same way, and every time I run into her, but I love some of her terminology. She said, yes, integrated water resource management is no man's land. There's nobody doing it. So
Robin
they're saying,
was
well,
on our show
our
about
job...
a year ago, for example, and we
She's
talked
a
about this.
scientist. See, we
Oh,
need
I understand.
scientists.
But here, now in that year, that's why I'm saying it in the way I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Where are we? How do we get all those people out there who are trying to get to
Read
see
the magazine and you'll understand.
And then what?
And then what we need to do is we need to put our power together, because I've tried. I really have tried. I've talked to council members. I have talked to department heads. I'm one person.
Put our power
We need
together.
more people. We need to understand what we're doing and why. Put our power together. I need to stop for a second. I feel like we've been wasting our efforts somewhere else, and I think this is our most important thing. I think it's, well, let's back up even further. You said, I brought up Commission on Water Resource Management. They don't think it's a crisis, nor does the Department of Water. But if you look at what I'm going to tell you about in this story that's coming up this coming weekend, I'm hoping enough people are going to think it's at least urgent, that we need to deal with this in our number one priority.
And who do they go to?
What we're going to do is we will find out who we go to.
We
But I
meaning
do.
you?
But I believe where we're going to have to start is we need to start with the mayor's office and get them to create the administration. You have your legislation. The council is legislation, right?
I'm listening to you.
You have to know what
If
the function
from
of the
what
different
I'm hearing
bodies
here,
are.
What I'm hearing is that we have all these different agencies. We have county level, we have state level, and we have an imposing crisis that's been dealt
Politicized.
with on a well by well basis. A crisis that's like little person holding back
Yep.
the dam.
Yep.
Because once the water that's salty and the water that's fresh get together, we are now going to be in a
Everybody has to
crisis
leave.
here.
We'll have to leave. Most of the people on
again,
Maui will have to leave.
I can talk to you about people that take water from the air. This guy's coming over right now.
But see, what the problem with people, that's once again putting a Band-Aid on the hole in the dike.
Yes.
What we are doing that people don't realize we're doing, and it's scientific. For one thing, first of all, you need to understand most of this is just, as Charlie Ice from Seaworm puts it, this is a political football. EO Aquifer has been a political football. My story will explain that. Why? People are politicizing it. That's a big waste of time and energy while the clock is ticking. But the other thing is that on the supply side of our water, we are destroying our ability to replenish that aquifer. So not only our use is important, but also replenishing that aquifer. And all of these diversions, all of the heat islands, you know what a heat island is?
Yeah.
You know how Kahalui's been having record-breaking heat? Well, that's from all of the construction, all the roads, all the cars. That's an artificially elevated heat. And what's happening is that affects our orographic rain.
When she says artificially, that means we created it. It doesn't mean it's artificial.
So
it's
we
real.
can fix it, because we did that. We
Well,
can
it's
fix
like,
it.
you know, they paved Paradise and put up a parking lot, and that is heat.
And it's creating
And
heat.
it's creating heat, and it's creating an imbalance. That's what we're talking about.
Everything's off balance.
These things are in crisis. So when I hear this, I was bringing up, there's a state, there's a county, but what is it? It's almost as if the way to get people to see a problem is when there's a crisis. Joe Suki pointed out to me years ago about transportation. Mass transportation will kick in when the cost of fuel is so high that it causes a crisis. Water issue will kick in when water is going to cost you a bloody fortune, and
it would be a fortune. It would be beyond.
That's where we're at, and that's what we're trying. So that is the goal. The goal is to say water and then explode that issue in your face so you take action.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, I'm bringing.
Yeah, I have the charts that show the transition zone.
People beat around the bush.
Yeah.
It's time to burn the bush. It's time to say, I am God. We are God. We see this vision of this crisis before it's exploded.
That's a good point. Yeah, it needs to be handled before it's a crisis.
Before it explodes.
So they're saying, like, they say, oh, well, we got, the water department said, well, as long as I see 20 to 40 years of water based on current population growth, that is so short-sighted. We not only need to reverse the damage we've created.
Do you have anyone that has enough?
Nobody. We don't have it.
To be able
we don't
to
have
talk about Robin. Robin is a trained
one person.
Expert.
We might need to bring in. Actually, I made some phone calls. I worked for a company when I was really young. They're called CH2M, and they're based in Oregon. And now that takes me back 40 years when I worked for them.
Small girl.
They're amazing. But I contacted them, and they said, yes, indeed, we do water resource management. And I figured they would. They're a really, really strong, important company, and they're worldwide. We're probably, my feeling is, my opinion, my observation after doing all the investigating, you'll see all that all in the story, is that we need an integrated water resource management department. We don't have one. So nobody's doing it. Like I said, they're all doing these little things.
Again, that's more.
We need a we need a department, right. And we also need. We're probably going to have to bring in experts from the outside, because I don't think we have. Other than the fact that Lucienne told me, she said when I was on her show just like about a month ago, that the USGS actually had a computer program that can do this, where you plug in the stream flows, and all that stuff.
There's no doubt. There's
a computer program. We're just way behind the times.
Ago? Well, it's really very interesting, because I remember in planning they had something that also built out the same models. I imagine maybe it's integrated with what Lucien's talking about. That computer models can project changes in different things in the future, both based on what happened before and man-made intrusions, whether they be building or what can happen with systems. So
systems. It's systems thinking is what it is.
So that's where I get down to this thing of where are we going with this? Because maybe it's not clear, but I am looking for people to take and look at all this together and take.
It's called
action.
Systems thinking, but we need to. We need people who are thinking that way.
Not just keep looking at it. They've been looking, and everyone wants to see whose.
But they don't know,
it is,
right?
And that's why we don't have enough housing on the island.
Same thing with housing. Don't even get me started.
Well, it's my point. That is my point.
The next issue is going to be.
It takes the doing this. So that's why I'm trying to build this vision of
when I
crisis. It is a crisis.
It is. I feel it is.
Right now.
My heart's been telling me that every morning I wake up. I look at Iao across the bay. I live in northish Kie, and I can see Iao, and that's where I eat my breakfast. And that place just speaks to me. It's saying, please help. Please speak for me. And the next issue of the magazine is going to be about a sustainable economy, and I'm going to address the issue of housing, which I know you and I are I'm very passionate. My most passionate issues are housing for affordable rentals, not affordable housing for people who can afford $700,000. That's not what I'm talking about. Coming up with realistic figures, really banging out a solution, getting the developers to, when they get an entitlement, they're leaving without building the affordable rentals and housing.
These are not new stories. What we see is that's the reason you ran last time.
So housing, I know they're not new.
Is because these ideas need the implementation. That's why I keep saying
They do,
emergency.
but so that's why I
Emergency
want to
creates
mobilize people. But I'm trying to mobilize a different group. You have to realize that most people they feel like everybody supports them, like the Ohana Coalition and all of that. Most people find, including me, I'm not the only person, that they're too abrasive, they're too in your face. And then people say, oh, I don't want anything to do with that. Most people say, oh, I want people, all these other people who don't come out and speak, I'm trying to get them to come out and say, look, there's a different way that we can do this. This is why it's sustainable aloha. I don't attack. I don't bring down. I don't say, let's tear down that company. Let's attack them. Let's take them to court. It's all about being aloha to each other and working together. So I'm trying to draw out and create a new paradigm.
Like you said earlier, you're creating yet another silo. That's why I'm saying the expression of emergency.
The people who that won't.
It
shouldn't be a silo because you understand spirituality and you understand the power. Like
I'm just saying what you just
when
expressed,
people want to get along, it's a stronger energy.
I've heard of this expressed by me.
I know that. I know.
So but I'm saying is,
I know.
Right now, I think the thing that will do it is a reality that we are in crisis enough. Those people that aren't coming out, how do you get those people? You can get them educated, and you should.
I'm sorry, but you have to take a look at the magazine.
No, again, you look at the magazine, but the magazine isn't the action step. Who takes when there's an emergency, when the fire happens? Mike Victorino gets up, and the people that are handling handle fire. When we have a problem with water, if we identify it as a crisis, as an emergency. That's
called inflammatory journalism, and I'm not going to participate in that.
I'm not looking at the journalism.
Although I am going to be saying that we have a problem. I will be showing the charts.
But I'm saying the way to get those sleepers, the people that don't come out and vote, the people that don't express themselves, because Ohana Coalition is saying, hey, excuse my French, I said it earlier, I don't beat around the bush, I burn the bush. So there's what Ohana Coalition does. And that's what we see.
But they only get so many people. There's this huge amount of people.
No, I just said the only thing I see, you say it's journalism. I say we have to recognize the crisis. There is a housing crisis. That means emergency. That means
there is. I believe there is.
There's going to be a meeting with Tasha Kama here in a couple of days out on the west side talking about affordable housing on the west side. Al Perez from Maui Tomorrow went out there and expressed, why are you putting affordable housing out in the middle of nowhere? There's only one road in and out that doesn't have adequate water. Why don't you put it in Central where there are facilities and things that'll be because of the NIMBY factor? Because not in my backyard factor.
I know it. I got
that.
So
all these things that are happening, we have to get to the only way you can change the people around is create an awareness of an emergency that we all will now come together to solve. Otherwise, everyone forms silos. It's the natural occurrence. People, they say, birds of a feather flock together. People on this issue are here. People on this issue are here. And that repulses people, like you said, who, that's being a little too swift. They're very difficult. No,
that's not. There's two different points we're having a little trouble differentiating.
Okay.
Inflammatory language or inflammatory writing is where you want to spark. And I get it. There's a purpose for that. I know what you're saying. Let me just, I do understand what you're saying, and that's a method that's been used. And I'm taking if the magazine is beautiful photography, and if you read like my farming story from the first one, I got to tell you, it's mostly heart. It's mostly creative, beautiful, and that's to draw people in. There's enough publications such as the magazine Green. It's like an industry-to-industry publication. You got your Environment Hawaii, has a lot of facts. I'm bringing something that when you look at it, it's like watching the show Planet Earth. Have you ever watched that, the series Planet Earth? What they do is they use beauty and beautiful music and beautiful photography to teach you things. And I guess that's what's different about my magazine is it's the only magazine that's like that. It's all beauty. If you open it up, it's just beauty. and then there's stories that educate you. So it's kind of like trying to get people in a different position to be a little more heart-centered about their decision-making, and I really feel like I can soften a lot of hardened hearts with this. It's a visionary magazine. I mean, it's not like anything else.
Soften
It's
any
different.
hardened hearts about what? What are they hardened about?
I'm
not
oh
sure
my
what you
gosh.
mean. I mean, you're talking about these people who aren't responding, people? Who are you talking about? Who's hardened?
I don't know. That thought just crossed my mind. I hadn't thought of that ahead of time. I mean, I'm just trying to put my vision into words. My word.
And I'm trying to take those
Mostly,
words
let
and
me
put
say,
them into an
mostly.
action step. Because your work.
Well,
is
okay, you're
important.
looking for a quick, abrupt action. Is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking at.
Mine is a gradual action,
You have
if that's what you're saying.
you have a
My magazine is a gradual paradigm change.
Okay.
It's very gradual. It may take, I would probably say, based on, and I'm not going to go into my life and where I've watched trends, I would say that it might take like 5 years for people to really get on board. And I'm letting it, like I said, I know I have to get the flyers out. It's a matter
Do you
of...
think that there are 5 years before this?
No, I don't think that it's going to be... No.
Saline issue, for example?
I'm going to be running for office again. Okay. I'll probably be running for office again in 2020 and 2022. So I'll be able to give more lip service to this as time goes on. But
I'm thinking that crisis deserves attention. See, I use words
I know what you're
that sound
thinking.
inflammatory because I've been talking about it for 25 years. I ran for these political
so
offices
what we're
for
trying to
25 years
decide is
ago
if we need to...
and tried to wake up this same crowd. And what's waking them up when they can't get from Kihei to somewhere else because their road is blocked? When a fire causes the two main... It's almost like you need to have an emergency or a crisis for people to wake up and
I hear what you're
themselves.
saying, Jason.
So,
I entirely hear what you're
that's
saying.
all
No,
I'm trying to
this
bring
is
out.
why. This is one reason it's hard to get through, because I think what you're saying, perhaps, or you're maybe phrasing it a little differently than why, is people are very busy with just survival in the workaday world and getting around, getting through the day. It's very hard for them to get on board with something, to take action steps to solve one of these problems.
Unless it affects them personally
I know,
and directly.
right. So I just found a workaround that I hope eventually it'll just start to... I just really think eventually it will. I just know it will. I know it will. I've never been motivated.
I am here to be supportive of what you're
I
doing
hope
in
so.
your education. I'm hoping that you are open to...
It's a matter of people. It's networking. It's telling people, and then they tell somebody, and they tell somebody. That's the only...
I understand, but then what happens with that is, in my experience, and then everyone says, pass that message down the street to those people that are doing it. Well, housing, go to the housing agency. There are answers for people that are homeless. Go to no, there aren't answers. These are crises. What, the water problem? Crisis.
I think it is.
That's why
I think it is. But what am I going to do?
Crisis. Look at
what
the
am I going to do?
Hawaiians now.
Instead of you asking me, why don't you tell me what I should do? Why don't you tell me?
Okay,
go ahead, tell me. Tell me what I should do.
That's what I was saying earlier, that your magazine, what is the point? Once you have it out there, you want to get it into the hands of tourists and educate them. And I'm saying, now that they're educated, what do you want them to do? I want them to say something to those that are going to change the things here.
I'm not
going to make a difference in the quality of our life.
I'm not. It's multi-purpose. Okay, I don't know what the tourists are going to do with the information. That wasn't a thought that crossed my mind. I just would like them to know. I work with them. I clean vacation rentals. I live in Kihei. I live in a big condo complex. I go everywhere I go in my life as tourists, and I just feel like they need to know this stuff. What they do with it, I don't know. But I do want to educate Maui people, and I think people will be more inclined to look at my magazine than they are to go pull up Environment Hawaii. Have you seen Environment Hawaii? You know what I'm talking about?
No, but again, I'm going back...
They're more likely to look at mine because of the beautiful photography.
Well, they have to find it.
I know, and that they will find it because there will be flyers in coffee shops and wherever I can get them.
Again, I'm just...
If
there was a crisis, they'd see it quicker.
So
That's
should we
what-
create a crisis?
We have a crisis.
So
It's
how?
the
So what are you
recognizing of
saying?
the-
What are you
What I'm
saying?
saying is,
What do you want me to
we
do?
need to be promoting
I don't know.
the
I don't know where we're
recognition
going.
of
I'm
the
sorry.
crisis. So your point of your magazine is to educate people, but to educate those people, I asked you to do what?
Create a crisis?
No.
Or tell people
to
it's a crisis?
see the crisis.
So how do I get
And
them to
then-
see the water crisis?
And then I said,
I thought we had to wait until we ran out of water.
No, we don't. That's what I say. We're trying to do this before the crisis happens.
So how do we? You said we
Isn't
have
that-
to have a crisis in order to
We
get
have a-
people to act.
we have
But
an
you're saying,
impending crisis.
so how do we do it before it's a crisis?
That's exactly what I'm asking.
By
What
educating
value-
them. What else can I do? I can't
But
force
you-
it on them. What I don't
But
know.
that's why I asked you again. I'm asking, going back to the same issue. What is your point? You have a magazine out to educate people that in 5 years there will be action taken because you think it's a 5-year cycle. In the
No,
meantime,
no. I
we have
said
a
I
problem
think
with
it's
this
5
water.
years before my magazine is very prolific.
Okay.
I'm an environmentalist every
We
moment
have
of
a
my
minute
life,
left,
not
so
just in the
I
magazine.
should give you the complete floor to kind of put out the most important part
Thank
of
you.
the message
Yeah.
you want to put out.
I just really need anybody who would like to write for Sustainable Aloha, who would like to be a sponsor, who would like to talk to me about it further, to get in touch with me. And I would like you to like my Facebook page because that's how I can get a hold of the greatest number of people at this point in time. We're trying to compile an email list. And so if you go on the website and look at the magazine, like the Facebook page, send me an email. The more contacts I have, the more likely I am able to get information out to people. And I'm working on developing my contact list.
Thank you all for joining us. I'm here with Alana Kay. You can find her at sustainablealoha.solutions.com, and you can see us next week. Thank you for joining us here today. We are happy to have you. Aloha, everyone.